Picture this. You are sitting in a meeting, doodling in the margins of your notebook while everyone else is nodding along. Someone catches you and gives you that look. You know the one. The silent judgment that says you are not paying attention, that you are somehow less serious, less focused, less capable than everyone else in the room. But what if I told you that doodling in that meeting might actually be evidence that your brain is operating at a level most people around you simply cannot access? What if the habits that have made you feel weird, out of place, or just a little broken your entire life are actually the clearest signs of an exceptional mind? Today, we are going deep into 16 strange habits that only the top 5% of truly intelligent people possess. Not just the ones you have heard before. We are going beyond the surface, past the obvious, and into territory that is going to genuinely change how you see yourself. Stay until the end because number 14 is the one that surprises almost everyone. But first, subscribe to our channel. Let us start with something that gets misread every single time it happens. Number 1, you talk to yourself and not just a little bit. Full conversations, debates, arguments. Sometimes you even disagree with yourself out loud. Most people who witness this quietly wonder if everything is okay. But research into cognitive processing reveals something remarkable. When you externalize your thinking through speech, you are essentially activating two cognitive systems at once. You are forcing your brain to translate internal, often chaotic thoughts into organized verbal language while simultaneously listening back to that language and evaluating it. This creates a processing loop that dramatically improves logical consistency and problem-solving accuracy. Highly intelligent people tend to naturally gravitate toward this habit because their brains are working with larger volumes of complex information at any given moment, and talking it through helps manage that load. So no, you are not losing it. You are running an upgrade that most people do not even know exists. Number 2, you doodle constantly. Notebooks, margins, napkins, sometimes the back of your hand. And here is what the research actually shows. Doodling is not a sign of disengagement. It is a mechanism your brain uses to maintain optimal arousal during cognitive tasks. When you doodle, you are giving the part of your mind that craves stimulation just enough activity to stay calm, while the deeper, more analytical part of your cognition continues to process whatever is in front of you. People who doodle during lectures or meetings often retain more information than those who sit rigidly still trying to look attentive. Your pen is not wandering. Your brain is anchoring itself. Number 3, you catastrophize, but only as a mental exercise. There is a version of this that is unhealthy, and then there is the version that belongs to the top 5%. You walk into a situation, and your brain immediately starts running failure scenarios. Not because you are pessimistic, but because you are mapping the territory. Highly intelligent thinkers instinctively engage in what strategists call pre-mortem analysis, imagining a plan has failed before it starts and working backward to understand why. This kind of forward risk modeling is how brilliant engineers design systems that do not break, how exceptional leaders anticipate crises before they happen, and how elite decision-makers avoid the traps that catch everyone else off guard. Your brain is not broken. It is stress testing reality. Number 4, you find it almost impossible to watch a movie without analyzing it. Your friends want to enjoy the film. You are quietly cataloging plot inconsistencies, noticing how the director uses light and shadow to communicate character psychology, and forming a structural critique of the screenplay by the end of Act 1. This is not pretension. It is your brain's pattern recognition system running automatically. Truly intelligent minds cannot turn off the part of their cognition that looks for underlying structure, because that same system is responsible for their greatest insights in every other domain of life. The annoying movie critic behavior and the brilliant problem solver in you are the same cognitive engine running at full speed. Number 5, you have a genuinely messy workspace, but you know exactly where everything is. This one confuses people. They see the chaos and assume disorganization. But there is a distinction between chaotic environments and chaotic thinking. Some of the most creative and analytical minds in history operated out of spaces that looked like organized disasters to anyone else. What looks like mess is often a spatial memory system unique to how your brain indexes information. Your physical environment reflects the non-linear way highly intelligent minds categorize and retrieve knowledge. It is not disorder. It is a personalized filing system that only your brain can navigate efficiently. Number 6. You stay up later than you probably should. Night owls have taken a lot of cultural criticism. Early rising is celebrated as a virtue of discipline and success. But the data tells a more complicated story. Multiple large-scale studies have found correlations between evening chronotype preferences and higher scores across a range of cognitive assessments. Evolutionary anthropologists have proposed that the cognitive demands of nighttime vigilance throughout human history may have selected for higher intelligence in those naturally inclined to stay alert after dark. Your late nights might not just be a habit. It might be an expression of how your brain is wired to access its deepest creative and analytical states when the world goes quiet. Number 7. You constantly ask questions that seem too basic to be worth asking. This one drives people around you absolutely wild. They think you are being slow or obtuse. But here is the reality. Truly intelligent people have a deep intuitive awareness that surface-level explanations almost never capture the complete truth. When you ask the obvious question, you are not doing it because you do not understand. You are doing it because you do, and that understanding tells you the obvious answer is probably incomplete. The willingness to look naive in service of genuine comprehension is a marker of intellectual confidence that most people never develop because they are too worried about appearing smart to actually become smarter. Number 8, you get genuinely emotional about ideas. Not just people or events, but concepts. A mathematical proof moves you. A beautifully constructed argument gives you a physical reaction. A poorly reasoned position makes you viscerally uncomfortable. This is called intellectual aesthetic sensitivity, and it is far more common among people at the highest levels of cognitive functioning than most people realize. Your emotional system and your reasoning system are not separate. For deeply intelligent people, they are deeply integrated, which is part of what makes their thinking so powerful. You feel the shape of an idea, and that feeling is information. Number 9, you struggle to commit to routines and constantly change things up. Society has decided that discipline means sameness, that routine equals intelligence and success. But highly intelligent brains have a different relationship with repetition. Once a pattern is mastered, the brain of a genuinely curious and cognitively agile person begins to experience diminishing returns from that pattern almost immediately. The drive to vary routines, try new approaches, and disrupt established habits is not instability. It is your brain's way of continuously seeking the new challenges it needs to maintain peak function. You are not unreliable. You are metabolically resistant to cognitive stagnation. Number 10. You prefer to think before speaking, sometimes for an uncomfortable amount of time. In conversations, there is a social expectation to respond quickly. Silence feels awkward. People read pauses as uncertainty or confusion. But highly intelligent individuals often process multiple layers of a question before answering, considering implications, exceptions, and the most accurate framing for their response. This is not slowness. It is thoroughness. The pause you create is not empty. It is full. Full of consideration that produces a more precise and honest answer than anything rushed out in the first 2 seconds would have been. Number 11, you find small talk genuinely difficult, not because you are shy, but because your brain keeps trying to go deeper. You start a conversation about weekend plans, and 10 seconds in, you are thinking about what a person's leisure choices reveal about their values, their relationship with time, their underlying belief system. You are not being antisocial. You are being overactive in exactly the cognitive areas that make you remarkable. Highly intelligent people naturally operate at a level of abstraction that makes surface-level conversation feel like trying to read a book through a window. It is not that you do not want to connect. It is that your brain keeps reaching for something more substantial. Number 12. You readily admit when you do not know something, and this shocks people who expect confident answers. Here is the psychological truth behind this. Intellectual humility, the genuine willingness to say "I do not know," is not a sign of limited knowledge. It is a sign of sophisticated metacognition. Knowing what you do not know requires a more advanced cognitive map than simply asserting what you think you know. The most genuinely intelligent people are the ones most comfortable sitting in acknowledged uncertainty because they understand that premature certainty is the enemy of real understanding. You say you do not know because your brain is honest enough to recognize the limits of your current data. Number 13, you overthink decisions that other people consider trivial. Where to eat, which route to take, what phrasing to use in an email. People call this analysis paralysis and treat it as a flaw. But what is actually happening is that your brain is running more variables through more sophisticated evaluation criteria than the situation may technically demand. Yes, this can slow you down. But that same cognitive tendency, applied to genuinely complex decisions, produces outcomes that consistently outperform the snap judgments of less analytical minds. The tool is powerful. Sometimes it is just applied to tasks that do not require all of it. Number 14, and here's the one that surprises people most, you find humor in things that nobody around you seems to find funny. Not crude humor, not obvious humor. The kind of funny that requires 3 layers of context and a specific kind of mental leap to even understand why it is funny. Research on humor and intelligence has found that the cognitive processes that generate and appreciate sophisticated humor, pattern recognition, incongruity detection, and rapid conceptual blending are the same processes that underlie high-level analytical thinking. If your sense of humor consistently leaves people confused rather than laughing, it is not because you are odd. It is because your brain is making connections faster and further than the people around you can follow. Number 15. You are deeply bothered by logical inconsistencies in a way that seems almost physical. Someone makes an argument with a flaw in it, and you cannot just let it go the way others do. It nags at you. It feels wrong in a way that demands resolution. This is not pedantry. This is what happens when a brain that is genuinely wired for analytical precision encounters structural errors in reasoning. The discomfort you feel is not ego. It is your cognitive architecture doing its job, flagging incoherence the way a spell checker flags misspelled words. The fact that others do not feel it does not mean they are more comfortable. It means they are not processing at the same resolution. Number 16. You find solitude not just pleasant but genuinely necessary. Not because you do not like people, but because deep thinking requires a specific kind of cognitive environment that most social settings simply cannot provide. When your brain is working on complex problems, which for a highly intelligent person is most of the time, external social demands compete for the same cognitive resources. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the condition under which your most powerful thinking actually happens. The world tends to celebrate extroversion and constant connectivity, but the greatest intellectual work across history has almost universally emerged from people who understood how to protect their thinking time. Here is what all 16 of these habits have in common. They are not comfortable. They are not socially convenient. They do not make you easier to be around in casual settings. But they are all expressions of a brain that is processing reality more thoroughly, more deeply, and more honestly than average. The habits that have made you feel different your entire life are not bugs in your system. They are features of an exceptional one. The mistake most people make is trying to fix these tendencies to fit better into environments that were not built for the way their minds actually work. Instead of suppressing them, the smarter move is to understand them, to structure your life in ways that let these cognitive strengths operate at full capacity. Night owl? Protect your late hours for your most demanding thinking. Solitude seeker. Build uninterrupted time into your daily structure without guilt. Overthinker. Direct that thorough processing toward the decisions where it genuinely matters. Intelligence in its most authentic form rarely looks like what we see celebrated in movies or motivational content. It looks messier, quieter, stranger, and more uncomfortable than that. It asks hard questions at inconvenient times. It stays up too late and needs too much time alone. It doodles during meetings and talks to itself in the car. It feels things about ideas and cannot let logical flaws rest. If you recognized yourself in most of what we covered today, here is what I want you to understand. The habits that have made you feel out of place are exactly what place you in the top 5%. Your job now is not to change them. It is to channel them. If this video gave you something real to think about, share it with someone in your life who needs to hear it. And don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel.